Speaking of rhythms, this young man is famous in Hollywood not only for his acting, but also for his hobby. Between takes, Marlon Brando is the main attraction on this set. So, as the camera crew gets ready for the next scene, let's drop in on Brando, the cat with the bongo beat.
Marlon, you're really getting some tough sounds from the congas there, boy.
Well, I see by your words you're down on the scene yourself.
Well, Cat, I'm in there pitching all the time and very observant.
Well, crazy.
But now tell me, well, when did you get this, develop this wonderful affection for drums and drumming?
Well, I'll tell you, Ed, it's a funny thing. Ever since I was a kid, I've always been fascinated by rhythm. And I remember when I was, years ago when I was living on the farm, I used to love to listen to the donkey engine. There used to be a donkey engine for the water pump. And I used to love to listen to that thing pulsate, and it just had something to say to me and had an appeal for me. I mean, some people are drawn to tone and others to color and form, and I think that is...
Well, how does a donkey engine sound? I've never heard a donkey engine.
Well, it's an eccentric kind of, it's off rhythm. It goes...
And you got the message.
Yeah, if it doesn't appeal to your ear, then, of course, it seems like kind of senseless. But I also, I'll tell you another thing. I used to love to ride on trains. When I'd ride on trains, I used to love to stand in the vestibule of the car and listen to the rails. And as a matter of fact, apropos of that, I can tell you a funny story. Sometimes when I come out here on the Super Chief, I'll be passing to the dining car or something, and I'll pass through the vestibule, and I'll stop to listen to the rails, and I'll just spend a minute there listening to this spadoodly-dits, spadoodly-dots, spadoodly-dits, spadoodly-doodly-doo-doo, you know, and I'll be there kind of lost in the feeling of the rhythm, and a passenger will pass through the vestibule and do, the classic double take, and I'll immediately pretend that I have some business there, which, of course, is kind of a flimsy cover-up, but I often get, caught like that. It's kind of silly. But, of course, the story always gets out that if they know me, if they recognize me, that they saw Marlon Brando in red underwear in between the vestibule of the train, and he was chasing a chicken around and trying to bite the tail feathers out. It always gets ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that explains a lot of those daffy legends that grew up about you, because actually I was a little apprehensive when I first came out here on the Guys and Dolls set, because I'd never met you before. Often admired you on the stage and screen. I didn't know exactly what sort of a person you were. At lunch, Marlon, I was very struck by your vast knowledge of comedians like Jackie Gleason, Sid Caesar, Wally Cox, the late Willie Howard. Now, when you're observing them, are you conscious that there's a very close kinship between the art of the comic and the art of the dramatic star?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I think that there is more than a direct correlation between the two. I think they are identically congruent. Well, it's difficult to be succinct about it in a brief moment, but I'll try to explain myself. For instance, I feel that both of them must draw on reality and have reality as a base. Otherwise, they'd simply lose any effectiveness that they might have. Not any, but they get the greatest degree of effectiveness from the directness with which they relate to reality. For instance, I'll give you an example. If a man, a father, suddenly looks out and he sees his child in the distance having an avalanche of stones come over him, then his feeling of horror and apprehension and fear and anxiety about this situation has to be real. He has to really feel it. There are a few actors who are able to emulate it without feeling it, but those are very few. And I don't know whether I've ever seen one or not. But, you see, it has to be real because the audience is identifying with him. And if the audience cannot believe him, then he loses. He's lost. Now, in the same way, a comedian, when a custard pie is coming at him, and it's about to visit his face very shortly, he has to really believe, he has to be afraid. And he has to transmit that fear to the audience, even in exaggerated terms, no matter what mug he makes. He has to have some feeling of fear. Because if he's just a plain mug, when I mean mug, a grimace, it doesn't mean anything. He has to have something to support it.
Well, then the comics really are heeding Hamlet's advice. Hold the mirror up to nature.
Yes, I think they are. The only difference being that the mirror, in this case, is convex.
Well, I'm very anxious for you. I know you haven't seen all of the footage that's been shot on Guys and Dolls, but your light comedy performance in Guys and Dolls is really terrific, Marlon.
Well, I hope so. I'm very anxious to see it. As a matter of fact, I'm dying to see it. Because I've never played a part. I was anxious to play this part because it demanded a little something from me that, well, more than a little something. It demanded a style of playing that I never played in before, and I hope it comes off well.
Well, actually, all of these things have come to pass, as you'll see, but you know, I do want to tell you how much I've enjoyed being here on the set with you and Gene and Joe Mankiewicz and Michael Kidd and Sam Golan, all of you. But I think my greatest kick, actually, is finding in you just the same likable, decent, normal guy that I always thought you were just from watching your performance on the screen.
Well, that means more to me than anything else you might say, and I appreciate that. Thank you.